Hi, everyone, and a very good afternoon to everyone present here. I'm your host, Khushi Mudgil, and I welcome you all to today's Tech Gig webinar on From Developer to Product Owner, Winning in the AI-driven Cloud Era. It is an absolute pleasure to have all of you join us today. To facilitate this session, folks, please join me in welcoming our distinguished speaker for today's session, Mr. Amit Khandelwal, Senior Vice President, Platform Services at Epsilon. He's leading the platform services business with over 27 years of global leadership experience in IT products and services. He brings deep expertise in strategy, revenue growth, P&L management, and building high-performing global teams. At Epsilon, he helps clients achieve their marketing goals by deploying industry-leading platforms and driving measurable outcomes. With experience partnering with Fortune 500 leaders, he has led large teams, managed portfolios over $100 million, and delivered impact across marketing technology, data, cloud, and digital. His expertise spans building and scaling global capability centers, solution architecture, pre sales, and digital transformation. Passionate about strategic partnerships and growth, he leads with curiosity, purpose, and a future ready mindset. It's such a pleasure having you, Amit, here with me today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Kushi. Thanks for the introduction. It was, in fact, pretty detailed introduction. But thank you for that. It's absolute pleasure to be part of this tech community. Pleasure to be part of Kushi with you and the Tech Geek team. I think for today's session, which is the topic of from developer to product owner, and probably will bit expand on this. I feel that I'll be talking more about my experiences, my learnings, and my readings from the current state. I think with over 27 to around 29 years of experience, I have across tech and non-tech areas, across products and services, across multiple geographies, and seen almost 3 decades of IT transformation. There has been a lot of these the key milestones which we've kind of touched over the last 30 years, and we are already going through a major shift in the industry. So I think we'll kind of try and touch base on those areas. I think I would be keen to really understand what kind of people we have today with us, what's the persona of those people. So Kushi, if we can probably kind of get an understanding on that. And then also probably would like to cover that what's my plan for today. As you can see in the screen, I've kind of divided my next 30-40 minutes into a kind of getting synced up on where are we on the market, what is happening broadly in the industry in India, what's happening on the technology side, and how fast things are changing. What is the pace in which the need for the talent is kind of, or the talent readiness need to be there. So I think we'll kind of try and touch base this in a flow that how the market is and what it means from the talent shift standpoint, what it means from the skill standpoint, and kind of I've tried and made an attempt to see that we kind of also talk about what it means for you or anyone in the industry, what it means for me. How do I need to kind of plan myself for the journey? So I think before we get going, Kushi, I would probably love to see if we can have a poll on kind of people we have with us so that we know who are the audiences today.
Definitely, Amit. So now, as we see that today's session will examine how engineering roles are transforming in AI-powered and cloud-native environments, it will also highlight that how developers can step into product ownership by designing the scalable architectures and also enabling the real-time personalization and balancing performance, security, and cost at scale. So I would like to notify that the session is scheduled for an hour, and we'll hear valuable insights from our guest speaker. And in the final 15 minutes, we will open the floor for an interactive Q&A round. So everyone, please feel free to share your questions anytime in the Q&A window. And with that, we would like to get started. To begin with, let's take up some poll questions. So the first poll question is, where are you today? Option A, developer or engineer, heads down in code. Option B, are you a tech lead or architect guiding teams? Option C, moving into product or leadership roles. Or option D, you're exploring or figuring out your next move. All of the attendees, you are requested to please let us know your views so we can know your opinions and perspectives better. And accordingly, we'll be also presenting the presentation to you. So you have 30 to 40 minutes, post which we will be closing the poll and we'll be having the final results. Also, you all are requested to put your questions anytime in the Q&A tab so that we can take them up towards the end of the session. All right, so all of those who are still left, you can vote and let us know so that we can know your opinion as well, as I will be closing the poll in the next 10 seconds. All right. So, Amit, we have 30% votes for developer or engineer, and the same 30% for tech lead or architect, and 25% for exploring or figuring out, and 15% for moving into product or leadership.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think that's great, and I think all the stages are perfect. All the stages, what we are talking about here is perfect. Uh, the developers are probably the core engine of growth in the IT industry. So that's really perfect. And I'm sure the session will have something for you. Tech leads means you've already moved in the journey. So I think that's fantastic. So see a good set of people are joining at tech leads and possibly architects in their career. Love to see the 25% numbers on the figuring out. And I think that's correct. In fact, I would say everyone is figuring out in terms of what it means for us. So that's a perfect state. And product owners, I think good to see that we've got folks who have already gone ahead and are in the journey of looking at product owner also as a stream. But we'll see how these streams are really coming together in our today's session. So that's perfect. And I think there'll be enough for all of us today in the session to kind of talk, discuss, and takeaways from here. So that's perfect. Kushi, that's a good mix of people we have. Should we do one more poll, Kushi, in terms of how people have been planning their careers or thinking about it?
Sure, Amit. We are moving forward to the next poll. So the next poll question for everyone is, which stage are you in? Option A, stage 1, which is developer. Option B, stage 2, that is software composer. Or option C, stage 3, that is project owner. So all of you can vote and let us know your opinions and views on the same so that we can know you better. Meanwhile, for all the attendees, you can put your questions in the Q&A tab so that we can take them up towards the end of the session. And meanwhile, all of you are requested to vote as we will be closing the poll in the next 10 seconds. All right. So for this one, we have 52% developers 35% for software composers, and 11% for product owners.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks a lot, Kushi, and thank you everyone for participating in this quick poll surveys. That just helps kind of giving the context of who all are there with us. And I think we've got good number of registration for the event. So hopefully, I think it's going to get benefited to the people who are joining us today. So moving on to my first content is, and I think that's going to be a lot of numbers, but I just want you guys to be with me on this. This is what the macro picture is, and macro picture. I'm just giving a kind of a reference point of GCC here, but I know that a lot of you may not be belonging to GCC. So GCCs are nothing but a global capability centers. So I'll cover up both global capability centers, what's happening, and the overall IT talent overall, what is happening. So I think uh, the major shift which is happening is I think India, which is no more a talent originator. It is no more a cost arbitrage destination. It is also becoming a more like an intelligence arbitrage destination. I'm sitting in a GCC and I work with my global counterparts. And likewise, we have around 1,700 numbers. And I think the numbers have gone up to around 1,900 odd global capability centers we have in India. These are the Goldman Sachs and MX of the world. These are the Epsilon of the world and the similar kind of companies who got setups. The kind of growth we have seen in the GCC space, which is almost touching 2,000, 1,900, 2,000, which is employing 2 million IT or related IT talent currently as part of these GCCs. So market is really, for India, this is a significant growth which we have seen in the last few years. What more is coming up, if you look at today, this GCCs put together currently takes care of around $65 to $69 billion of the overall revenue base. And revenue base is based on the cost factors. So it is, but I think the measurement, what we should probably look at is it is almost doubling in the next decade. So it is a huge growth which is happening. And then the word is kind of eyeing on India for the major growth lever. And now when we are talking all AI, the early stage numbers here is that today the 16% of global AI talent sits in India, and AI market is huge, which is, as of the last surveys, what we had, it's around $3.5 trillion of AI economy is what we are working on today. So that is the kind of macro factors and the numbers what we have. But that means what? I think that means that every developer in India is now operating in a global talent marketplace. Your competitors for senior roles are not just a Bangalore, Hyderabad, or Chennai. It is about Toronto, London, Singapore. So that is how the horizon is changing for everyone here. And that's also an opportunity at an industry need leaders who understand both technology and the businesses context, and the combination is rare. But I think the kind of talent we have in India and the kind of talent we are building up from the colleges today, we kind of stand as huge chance in terms of leveraging these opportunities. So what's driving the shift? I think let's look at the major tectonic shifts which is happening in the industry. Again, few numbers here, but I really want you to take the major shift and trends, what is happening. If you look at the cloud business, I go back 5 years back, 7 years back, we always used to doubt about cloud adoption, how much that's going to be adopted by industry, whether banks will take it, whether government will take it, what will happen to the securities in the different countries with their norms. Today, cloud is $1 trillion spend which is happening on cloud, and that's growing and that's being accepted. It has become a norm across the industry. We are seeing AI spending between 2.5 trillion and the latest numbers of $3.5 trillion of AI economy, which is already building up. So that is an amount of AI spend which is happening in the industry. So really, cloud, AI, data, these are no more experiments. These are no more POCs. A lot of organizations, in fact, the numbers are correct, and around 70-80% of the enterprises have moved from POCs to actual leveraging these technologies into their platforms. So that means money has already moved, capital has moved. There has been major organizational commitment which is already happening, and it is now for anyone, for the companies and for individuals, for professionals to kind of figure out how they really want to capture these opportunities, where they would like to be, what kind of positioning they would like to do in their professional career. So I think there's no wait and see position. There is no wait and watch mode now. I think we are on a journey which is going faster. There has been There has been a 44% up in the AI spend in last 1 year alone. And I think there has been tons of R&D work which is happening in India, and majority of these R&D talent are leveraging AI technology. So there has been a major shift which is happening in the industry. This shift is, I would say, this is irreversible. These are the shifts which are really going to go there, and it's going to only move fast. So I think I would say AI and cloud have turned every product into a living and a learning system. And living system need owners. And I think that is where I see there are opportunities. Ownership roles are wide open. It is up to us to decide, do we want to be those owners? Are we going to be those application owners, product owners, business owners, functionality owners? So this is where I think my theme for the next few slides are going to be how the developers need to start shifting their mindset and their learning journey and their career trajectory from here onwards. I know when you're doing these sessions, which is not so interactive because I need to complete my slides, but I'll kind of make sure that you keep putting your questions back into the chat window. We'll try and cover some of these questions which are coming in your mind. So moving on. So I think this is where I think the hard fact is that code is no longer a scarce asset. I think all of us have been trained and groomed, and I, in my career of last 27, 28 years, I've been always saying that the strong coders are the most important thing. They are still the most important thing, but kind of coding is not something which is so critical. It is your judgment, your fundamental skills, your cognitive skills are something which is making it making your profile important in this competitive world. So I think the number says that almost half the line of codes are AI generated already, and I would be surprised if anybody would like to challenge that. But that's a fact. What we are doing in our organizations, I think we are talking about these numbers, and the numbers may vary depending on the kind of applications or the platform you're running. For example, like today only we heard an article on COBOL is also going to be more kind of AI is going to get into the COBOL work. So maybe those are the journeys which are going to get started. I think developers' productivity, we always have been talking about developers' productivity based on productivity on function points, deliveries within sprint, the velocities. And I think not many things are really changing now. The premium has shifted into terms of rather than writing code in terms of what are you building and why are you building on those things. A lot of metrics have changed. And that means organizations are bound to change the allocation of their money and funds in terms of where they want to invest on. The people, the technologies, the growth, and in parallel, when it comes to technologies, where the AIs and the cloud side. So I think there has been a lot of these conversations which are going on, which are going around now. Code is no longer the scarce asset. So, and that creates a massive opportunity because developers who step into ownership role, they don't get replaced. They become really indispensable. I think that is a shift which probably we should ideally be taking. And my next slide, I'll be talking about more of that shift. I may not really go through all the content at your pace. You can read through it. But my broader thing, which I really want to communicate here is, if you look at the last 10 years of history as developer, and all of us have gone through this journey. I myself have gone through this journey. We used to what a typical, suppose I'm doing in applications, that's the purview in which I'm operating. I need to handle my tickets. I need to build things as per my specifications. My productivity, my manager is going to track on the velocities and the story points, utilizations. I think my whole view is pretty myopic to the particular module which I'm working on. And sometimes for a year, I stay within my module. That is how we all have been operating in a way, and that is how the shift have started happening. And what I would say here is, and I think on the right, when you look at it, I won't say it's now, but I would say it's now plus the future is where the things are really changing. No more a developer is really going to be measured purely on these outcomes. They are expected to understand the business. They are expected to understand business KPIs. The team sizes are getting smaller. That means now every individual has got an important role to play. You're not just one of those 10-member development team. You yourself have got a role to play. You're probably leading a particular functionality to deliver. And that functionality has got a work to be done, has got a business associated with it. So success measures on user value, revenue, retention, your customer retention, and your customers retention. So a lot of these things are changing. Many of these things which you may not have seen in your work today, or you may have seen partly in your work today, because I think the whole system is getting matured. We don't have absolute measurement frameworks, and hence sometimes it is not um, very visible. But I bet, I mean, we are all getting there. I think AI is leading into our product decisions. It's really coming out pretty strongly in the whole decision making process, and we have to. I think as a developer, we need to think about platforms, think about the ecosystem in which this platform is going to operate. We should know finance very well. We should know the P&L impact. It's no more the game of somebody else's who is going to look into the finance part of it. And I think maybe in the subsequent slide, I'll cover that what are the new set of skills which each one of us should add into our portfolios to kind of gain and to win in this new economy. Important things, your judgment, prioritizations, and accountabilities. And I want to emphasize this word, though accountability is something you may have heard probably 10 years back, also 5 years back as well. But I think it really plays more important role now, because I think because there's a lot of responsibility lies in the role, and people who are going to drive higher accountabilities are going to grow faster, are going to be the owner of the work stream, product platforms, whatever they are working on, and hence that becomes very important. So I think this is a major shift which is happening, um, and and broadly, cloud, which we used to call as an infrastructure layer, it's no more an infrastructure layer. It is a product. The cloud 3.0, which we are talking about, and then if you have not read intelligent clouds are getting built. AI is no longer a feature. AI is a big value driver. AI is not just solving a technical challenge. AI is getting into businesses. If you look at the next set of startups happening, and in any of the startups events, if you go around, you will see startups are solving business problems via AI. So I think it is really getting deep into the business. It is no more a technical developer's baby. It is being used by everyone. I'm sure your mom, dad, your brothers, sisters, your friends, everyone is being using AI. How effective they've been using is depending on their usage part. So game has changed permanently. Now, sometimes it creates a fear, and we hear those part. Hey, developers, what will happen to the developers? Will they be replaced? I think the coding work of developers, which developers do today, to a good extent and all, that's going to get assisted by the AI utilities, which is already happening. This will get further refined. I think they will continue to happen. Where I really want everyone to focus on is you start focusing on the larger picture. You start focusing on the outcomes. It is just a matter of thinking differently, planning your positioning differently, and probably learning the skills which maybe you've ignored it so far, but that's something which is going to be important for you. So AI is not taking developers' job. It just took away the excuse of not owning the outcomes. It looks simple, but I think if I look at my teams today or the people who interact with me, I always kind of go and discuss those areas with them, that how they have been developing in this dimensions. Even if somebody who's joined my organization 1 year back or maybe a 1 month back, if they are in a project and they don't know where exactly this application is getting used, what is the business KPIs customer is driving, the line of code which you're writing today, or you're using AI for generating those, where is that helping customers in their business goals? If you don't know those answers, better you go out and get the answers for that. So I know we are keeping questions towards later part. So keep questions coming in, and then we'll see how much and how many we can address. If we can't address all the questions, I'm happy to really get connected with any one of you later on, answer anything, help you in if you are dealing with something. So this slide is, I think this slide, take it in a way that find out where do you stand in your journey. What has been your focus areas? And I'll kind of talk about 3 stages. And these are not the stages where it has to go in the same sequence. That's been kind of said that typically a stage which is a developer stage, what you do is, and I'm assuming you've got 50-60% team here today is more developers in nature, or maybe it could be more because a lot of people said they don't know how they want to shape their careers. So I think we're in a developer eras where we know that what the primary focus has been. And I think what we are going to see here is the journey of that, how these developers are getting into more so-called software composers. And maybe if this term is new to you, composers, I take it more in a way that now you've got a lot of these tools and fancy stuff with you. How do you really leverage everything to run your own work? I mean, that means even leveraging your AI agents and bots. So how the journey is going to be from developers, what means from a software composer standpoint, if you really want to get into that journey, and what it means from a product owner standpoint. And I think these are not just the job titles. It really changes a lot in terms of your responsibilities, your influence, and the impact what you make. So if you look at stage one, developer, they write code specs, implement requirements, optimizes performances, fixes bugs. What they need, what skills they have. Yeah, they have feature delivery, sprint executions, code qualities, dependency mapping, limitations. Yeah, they always have a limitation of a BSA or a BA is coming and giving the requirements or the clarifications. They probably they don't own and know everything. They are like an IC today, and they kind of work in the ecosystem where ecosystem fills them into to kind of accomplish the task. Now, if we move on to the next phase, which is so far I call it software composer, these are the orchestrators. They are the one who orchestrates AI agents. They are the one who orchestrates AI agents as MCPs, code quality as a practitioner. They build systems which are self-healing in natures, adaptive, um, platform engineering, CI/CD ownership. I think those are the primary focus areas when you really get into it. It is not the code which is the primary focus area. It is that the ecosystem and how this ecosystem is going to help you build applications which are self-healing in nature. I think that's where the difference comes in. You can see how the success getting measured, and then what kind of mindset you should be in when you're really getting into that mode. So, and why this role matters is because AI handles execution. Humans must compose the system that AI operates within. I think a lot of these execution can be managed by the AI, and humans have to move up in their value chain. And that is where we are probably seeing it here, that how this value chain has been constantly kind of transitioning from one stage to another stage. So the third stage, which I'm calling as a product owner stage, and in no means I'm saying this is probably the best stage and everyone has to be in that stage, but I'm saying this is where the mindset shift will happen. A lot of these things depends on the industry, depends on the role. If you're in an IT services industries, maybe this transition could be different for you compared to if you're in engineering industry and then your job is full R&D work on the product development side. Or if you're in any other industry, probably this may vary. So I really want the takeaways for any one of you is to really see that what these different role means and what is that you can pick up in terms of shaping your career. So look at the stage, which is product owner. I think high business outcome accountabilities, roadmap, and the KPIs ownership. The user empathy and experimentation becomes important part. And most of the reasons are very much data led. So I think in this stage, expectation is you've got hold on data and you can go even up to P&L reasons using the data. So this is where AI has created a completely new opening because AI does the execution and premium is now on the people who can think at a system level. So I think in this, I would say the major takeaways, if I kind of want to pick up from this slide is that today AI generates almost 50% of the code, and we can go and look at the GitHub data. I think you'll probably see some of these data, and this number sometimes can go up to even 70%. But I think where it is heading in the next couple of years, this is going to be literally a lot larger than where it is today. So it is going to move fast. I think that is one takeaway. I just want to make sure that all of us are aware of that, how fast it is changing. Now, I think it's a question personally we should ask. Which stage we are in today? Which stage you are in today? And which stage you would like to be in the next 12 months? I know many of you have answered this question as part of as we kicked off this session. I think it is important for you to understand again looking at these areas, that where are you and where are you heading on this. Moving on to my next slide, again, you will see some numbers, but more for you to understand the pace in which it is happening. And some numbers, maybe I've talked about it. 80% of enterprises. Last year, same time, we all used to question that AI is all only happening in the POC stage. It is not hitting the enterprise applications. And today's, your huge number is really moving faster in terms of getting into the production-based, production-sized grades applications. The real number is 46% from the GitHub is the developer code generated by AI. And this is the code which is generated by AI getting audited and finally ready for hitting the production. So the code actually gets generated much higher than this, but this is the code probably which gets audited and finally goes into the production. 59% of the business investing in agentic AI in the next 12 months. So how fast agentic AI has moved. Go back and I look at maybe January last year, 2025 beginning, we were all talking about agentic is people were learning what agentic AI is. And they were saying how the shift is happening from here to agentic. And 60% of businesses are investing in agentic AI already. So those decisions have been made. I think next point is the numbers may not sound pretty big, but that is so interesting to see that 15% of work decisions will be autonomous. And I think that's a huge thing, that the businesses are able to identify tasks which really does not need human intervention, which probably may not require human in the loop. And those are becoming full autonomous tasks. So 15% as per Gartner is already planned by 2028. And I think this number is only going to go up from here. Interesting number, the next number, if you look at it, that is where the AI ops coming into play is downtime reduction with self-healing infrastructure. This is one area we were never solving with the people. We can best design our application, but the downtime of the application and the self-healing part was missing in our overall design. And that is where AI is coming into play. And a lot of the self-healing is coming by default in the system design itself. So I think those are something which are kind of pretty interesting trend which are happening. My intention is not to create any fear. Okay, and I just want to make sure that the data points or the speed is not creating anything like, hey, what will happen to the carriers or specific roles. I think we should ideally move past from those thought process. We should think about is where's the opportunity for me. And I feel if I look at my broad math, though we are talking about 40-50% automation, but that's not something which is going to take any of the jobs out from this. Even if probably 10 to 15% reduction, if I see in certain type of jobs, the industry is growing by more than these percentage points. The expansion of IT in the business is growing much faster than this. So even if I assume 10 to 15% of IT growth, IT applications growth, and at least 15 to 20% of the horizon of IT, which is getting expanded. Because today insurance is also becoming technology and banking is becoming technology. So look at the horizon in which this is expanding. And this is where I think each one of us should place ourselves, that what it means. What if I've got an insurance expertise, I know technology very well, I know business well, I know software development lifecycle, I've got hold on the AI, and what? Yeah, I'm unique now. I'm unique in my overall proposition. And I think that is where probably each one of us or anybody who's kind of working towards thinking about their career, they have to kind of think about it. I think just to kind of consolidate these things, I brought in this slide to look at how do you bridge the gap? What could be the major skills which are going to be important in 2026 and beyond? So technical foundations and the product and leadership mindset. I think these are the two areas which has to go in parallel when we kind of build ourselves. Look at the left now, cloud native architecture. I think designing for scale, reliability, cost efficiency across multiple cloud environment is critical. So this is not like which cloud, it is like how to architect across all of them. AI ML integrations, FinOps awareness, build AI features that are economically viable, not just technically very impressive, and that's where the FinOps, and I think maybe 10 minutes back I was talking about that, how this the knowledge of finance is important for you to take decisions, because your investment on a tool or a process or design is depending on that, how the finances of that is going to work. And finance is a lot to do with the cloud infrastructure, with the AI infrastructure, because that's going to consume your good 30-40% of the cost, and hence that awareness is important. And the next part is data literacy and system thinkings. I think it's important to understand data pipelines, not just APIs. You should do your full data journey from where the ingestion is happening to the insights. And I think everyone should be comfortable in kind of throughout the journey and knowing the journey where it is. Now, if you look at the right side, which is product and leadership mindset, basic skills: learn to talk to users, build the habit of asking questions. What does it matter um, to the customers? Why are we writing this code? And then I think experimentations and iteration mindset. This is where the feature flags come into play, A/B testing come into play, hypothesis-driven development come into play. Treat every release as a learning opportunities, and be iterative in your approach, because that is how you are learning, systems are learning, your stakeholders are learning, and bring them as part of journey. So look at the scenarios. You are probably a more tech savvy person in the lot, but you've got your marketing person with you, you've got a business guy with you, and you bring everyone together in the whole thought process. And iteratively, you develop a product, everyone's happy, and product is really delivering. And by the time your business is also trained and groomed on these areas, and that really makes your job much more easier when you have to do more such iterations. So I think those are the areas. Apart from that, business acumen and platform leadership. Uh, as I mentioned, P&L basics are important. ROI, knowing ROI is important. And then how do you make really business case, technical investments into a business language? That becomes important. It is fair if a lot of these things you don't do it today. It's perfectly okay. It is perfectly okay if you think that, hey, you know what, technology wise, I may still be doing 80%, 90%, all my 100% time goes there, but on the right side, I really don't get involved. It is okay. I would say typically think about, say, like a 70-30 formulas, even if 70% technology, 30% business. If this is where you are, that's perfectly okay. Start your journey from here. If it is 80-20, start from journey from here. You must have heard about that. How do we call is like a T-shaped excellence? And what T-shaped means is you should go deep into your domain and broader in the context. So domain and the context is what you're building, and then that's how you're building your expertise level. And then you keep shifting depending on where are you heading, what is your work environment, what kind of opportunities you see, and importantly, and kind of do that. I would say the takeaway from this slide, I think each one of you should take here is that if you've kind of figured out an area which you have not really worked on, pick up at least one skill which you would like to start working on it, say from tomorrow, and then find out what is your starting point. How do you really want to get going on this? So, and this is my last slide. I know it's a lot of content. I think I've created this slide more again to consolidate that. If I give an example, if I have got an application which is an application which is kind of or become any work stream what you are currently a part of. How do you get going from that work stream? Maybe in that work stream, are you focusing on data or you're not, but can you start doing it now? In your work streams, do you think outcome is something which is known, which is there in your purview as of now? And then if not, then how do you really start getting into those outcome-based road mapping, into knowing the outcomes? How this how do you really propose an AI augmented improvements for the current workflows? What if it doesn't get approved? What if your managers are kind of not approving it? So there could be all kind of ifs and buts, I'm sure, would be there with you in terms of how do I really do it. At a high level, I've just formulated one good 30, 60, 90 days plan. And why I've done it is because if you don't do a plan, you will never be able to execute, because there's literally a humongous amount of learning content which is available currently everywhere. So what I'm saying is first 30 days, take something like shadow a product owner for a week, pick up few matrices, start building your own dashboards, pick up one certifications for AI or cloud, and create a simple benefit map overall that, hey, in the current sprint, if I do this, what will happen? Simple things, all simple. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, talk to your managers, anyone you think probably give you an or at least participate in the conversation with you, so that you cement your thoughts that are you moving in right direction. Moving on, if you look at the next 60 days, and look, everything is very, it's just an example or sample 30, 60, 90. It totally depends on what you're working on, what's your work streams. So do more experimentations, try A and B, A/B models in terms of, hey, if I do this, what will happen? If I do this, what will happen? How do I see the business impacts? Can I now go back to my AWS cloud or Azure cloud and also see that how the cost is coming from the cloud usage standpoint? Can I do it better now? So I think look at the areas, look at the skills which you feel is probably you are lowest if you want to rate yourself, and then maybe that is one area you want to work on. And then likewise, you move into a journey, which could be the next stage. Kind of keeping it to 30, 60, 90 again, as I mentioned, because I think you will be in a much better state after 90 days if you really follow some of these paths to understand where do you stand now. How can you shape your career? I think choice is entirely yours, but um, it starts within with what you do and how do you really take this forward. So I think that was my last slide. This is what I think broader things we kind of covered today in our session. So closing it, I think AI is not asking you to code faster. It's not asking you to think bigger. The most valuable professionals in the next decade won't be the ones who write the most code, but they are the ones who really um, own the outcomes. That is where I feel this outcome really plays an important role. Don't worry on the titles, don't worry on the companies. Many of these things are really going to fade away. You just need to worry about taking ownership. Do you own anything? Are you owning the work streams you're working on? Are you owning the business's outcomes, what you're working on? So start thinking differently. Don't really fight with your managers or your HR about the titles. That is not really going to take you somewhere. I mean, I'm just kind of exaggerating those things, but I'm saying that is not the focus. And I think, yeah, I think those are something which I would probably like all of you to take it forward from here. Open for questions.
Thank you so much, Amit, for these amazing insights. And definitely, these have offered us some personal insights from your expertise, because definitely these are going to be of much value for all of our attendees. And of course, as you mentioned, that how AI is moving beyond experimental and generative use cases to become agentic, autonomous, and cloud native systems operating in real enterprise environments. That exactly explains that on what this next phase truly requires, from production grade architectures and responsible deployment to the right mindsets and the operating models that must build to make AI scalable, reliable, and future ready. So now, as we've received some excellent questions from the audience, we'll try to take a few of them. So moving forward to the first question, which is by Mahesh. He's asking that should product owners have a working understanding of AI models like LLMs, or is strategic knowledge enough?
Hey, thanks, Mahesh. I think I I feel that in the ecosystem, if you're using AI, then product owners definitely need to know what are these AI tools. They should have all the knowledge about AI basics. They should also know how fundamentally AI works. It is AI is not going to solve all your problem, and it is going to be very iterative. Unless you really know the depth of it, you will not be able to play around with your models. So to that extent, you should know your AI models very well.
Right, Amit. So moving forward to the next question. The topic, how can the different categories of disabled manpower be on the same page, considering their economic and educational status? So Dr. Dipankar is asking this question.
Sorry, come again.
Yeah. So the question is the topic, from developer to product owner, winning in the AI driven cloud era.
Yeah,
How can different categories of disabled manpower be on the same?
disabled manpowers.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I really can't give any generic answer on this because disablement means a lot. and it's a wide spectrum of this thing. So I think maybe would like to really pick up such questions and brainstorm on those things. I don't want to give an answer which is not matching to what Dr. Dipankar you've been asking for. But I'm saying AI has to be for the goodness of people and the ecosystem. If we are not able to build AI working for them, beneficial for them, then definitely we're missing out something. So let's figure out. I know my lot of friends who have been working in this space, who have been solving such problems, who themselves are disabled in some ways or the others, and they've been leveraging AI directly themselves or in their organization. So let's talk about it and let's see what we can do.
Right. So, which makes us move forward to the next question, which is by Girish. He's asking that how do you measure developer productivity for each SDLC phase in new AI era? Some tasks which used to 2 days can be done in 1 hour with AI tools now. So, fixing the defect with AI generated code might take 2 to 3 days to fix.
Yeah, I think this is one question which very recently I asked some of our hyperscaler friends. And when I say hyperscalers, these are the AWS, Microsoft, Google's, and many of these hyperscalers of the world. I think we are yet to crack a full set of KPIs measurement of the different players of the development lifecycle in the new era. And hence, I don't want to give you a very generic answer that, hey, this is solved by this. And because you yourself, Girish, you talked about it, if a code has been generated by AI and suppose you're getting a 70-80% code, and what if you spend another 2 or 3 days to fix the code which has been generated? So basically resulted into nothing. But I've seen scenarios where how in my organizations, how we have been doing in certain cases where I call it a success, when and 60 to 70% of code is being generated by AI, which is ready to use, or I would say at least 70%, 60-70% is a perfectly fit code. And that means my developers are really coming forward and saying that we are saving 30-40%, 50% of the effort in the overall work streams. And this is where we are encouraging them to pick up next work streams, to pick up more I would say more value driven kind of assignments with them. Today, I personally, and I don't want to generalize it, but I personally believe that I don't want to differentiate between developers and the BSAs or the product owners and the QAs. These are all the roles and titles of the past, or maybe for the near future. They're all going to go away. So if I'm done and if I deliver it faster, maybe I should pick up something which is the next stage of my career journey.
Rightly mentioned, Amit. So, which makes us move forward to the next question, which is by Parth. He's asking that in an AI driven cloud ecosystem, do you believe product owners need to think more like system architects or more like business strategists, and why?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it's Parth or
Parth, yeah.
yeah. Um, I think Parth, fundamentally nothing has changed. Uh, I I feel that there is a title, and maybe I'm more attached to the title because in my past I used to be solution architect, and I always feel that what solution architect does is basically simple problem and solution, and then you find out the means to solve it. And that is the role which in the new era, if I'm talking about product owners, I'm really talking about that these product owners, they are the one who knows problem to the end of the details, and they are the one who define and design solution, maybe talk to the stakeholders, get an alignment on that, and they are the ones who either themselves solve it or take some help to solve it. But that is where I think the whole solutioning part is something which is owned by the product owners. Are they the technical architect? I can't say that, and I don't mean to really uh, kind of lower down the technical architect's job in this, because all the problems are not so straightforward. So some really need some design thinkings and architectural designs. Though that is where the pure play technical architects comes into play, but broad solutioning is owned by product owners.
Right, Amit. So, let's move forward to the next question by Sachin. He's asking that does cloud scalability reduce product risk or does it sometimes create overconfidence in experimentation?
I think very it's really, I mean, cloud scalability is your decision, which is very much driven by your business. It all depends in what kind of businesses you are in. If you need cloud scalability or cloud independence of cloud, I mean, moving into different cloud infrastructures, that's purely uh, depends on the business you are in. It is, I think, if your business is something which is definitely a retail kind of retail consumer goods kind of business has got scalability as one of the most important criteria or the demand. I think like any time in the past we used to do architecture design, we're thinking scalability is the most important thing to be taken care of. The same thing goes in the cloud as well. But in the cloud, if you look at the latest, the 3.0, lot of auto scaling of cloud which is happening, sometimes you don't need to really worry on that. It's a lot of these things are taken care of by your cloud partners. So in that case, you need to now factor it. Is your cloud partner providing you auto scalability? Is that the cost of auto scalability is something which is fitting into your overall budgets of this application? Then accordingly you can choose for it, and maybe you can let go that worry that today I'm designing something for assuming maybe 1,000 users, but what if it really start touching maybe even a million in a couple of months or a couple of years for that matter? So I think it is thought process goes the way we do the system design, but the avenues what we have here is that those are auto scalable options available for us.
Right, Amit. So we'll move forward to taking up the last 3 to 4 questions. So the next question is by Rani. She's asking that 5 years from now, what will separate an average product owner from a high impact AI era product leader?
What's the name? Ranish.
Rani.
Rani. Okay. Very. I would be surprised, not me, but anyone who can predict the future of 5 years. It is extremely difficult. What we have seen in last 2 years, and then last 1 year, and then the last few quarters. I think the pace in which things are changing, it is extremely difficult. I am I'm kind of only sensing that I think AI is going to be made available. AI or any technologies, maybe in 4 years, 5 years, we'll see more technologies in this domain of cloud kind of domain, which is like scalabilities, infrastructure completely taken care of. AI kind of domain, which application built up is taken care of. So that means now any problem you have, for solving that problem and all, you've got that infrastructure available and you can solve it. So, and I think this is going to be much more smoother in the coming time. So difficult to predict, but what I feel is the folks or the individuals who know domain very well, who know their customers very well, I think those thinkers are going to be the winners in the future. They are the one who are going to be, because they are confident that whatever they think they can design and implement. And I think those possibilities are no more a question mark now. If it is broadly feasible, I mean, you don't need to really worry, hey, what if I develop this application for next 18 months and if it doesn't work? Those applications can be built prototype in 1 month and maybe built up completely 3 months. So I think we don't know for 5 years, but what I really know is that I think the industry knowledge, domain knowledge is something which is going to be the primary, and leveraging technologies and tools is going to be huge add-on, and this combination is going to be very critical.
Right, rightly spoken, Amit. So the next one is that is coding still an advantage once you become a product owner in the AI era? This is by Masoom Sandhu.
Yeah, I think I would say for sure it is an advantage. If you are coming from this stream, I don't want you to stop doing it thinking that you've got an assistant. Take it this way that, hey, suddenly you've become a manager or a director of an organization, and organization tells you now you've got an assistant, you don't have to work. Your assistants will do all the work. And you forget doing, you kind of miss your art of doing things. We are in a very uncertain world, and I think keep the core with you, don't let it go. So keep yourself closer to the strength what you have today, while you are adding on more, probably more skills for yourself.
Right. Amit. So this is the second last question by Aaron. He's asking that coming from a technical background but not pursuing coding and working as a BA today, What key skills or mindset shifts are critical to break into product management and grow into leadership?
Okay. Um, I think to a large extent, we covered these areas today. Um, I think the good news is that even if you've done your IT engineering or a comp science engineering, and you're not the one who really likes and loves the coding part of it, maybe a year, 2 year back, we thought, hey, your career is over because if you are a comp science engineer, you're supposed to be a great coder as well. I think the good part here is that is no more a must requirement for you to be successful. And I think good that you've already picked up your career in the stream of business analysis or product owner kind of streams. I think it's extremely important for you to be aware of knowing technology is must. You can't let go it. So you should know all these latest of the technologies, whether it's a cloud or AI or data, other technologies. You should be very much familiar and have the in-depth knowledge of it. In spite of that, that you're not a coder, but you should know these things and focus on your strength. If you think that your strength is your interpersonal skills, your business acumen, your other areas of skill, I think make it like a deadly combination by combining these two. And I think that is how one should really plan the career and then move forward on it.
Right. Right. So now we have the last question, which is by Dangeti. She's asking, how do you build an AI first organization with cloud native solutions?
I think that's a very broad question. And all of us are in that mode now that all of us are thinking that um, this is what the organization we want to build. I take it this way that let's start anything freshly which we start, let's start with AI first approach, provided you've got some level of maturity of AI in your organization. So if you think that now you've got confidence built in that AI has really proved and gave you results, then maybe your next projects, next assignments, next streams, next module, whatever you're picking up, take as AI first approach. So AI first cloud native is your approach for doing it and get onto that journey. I think take small steps and then make it working for you so that you can think about that, hey, here onwards, everything what we do is AI first and cloud native.
Right, Amit. So a lot of questions, but all of them answered.
I
And
hope
it
so.
was really great that we got your personal insights from your personal experience because this was, of course, very much needed towards the end of the session. So this session leaves us with much to reflect on, not only the frameworks and approaches discussed, but also the broader shift in how enterprises are designing, building, and scaling AI systems as they move towards an agentic, autonomous, and production-ready future. So, with that, we wrap up this highly insightful webinar session on From Developer to Product Owner, Winning in the AI driven Cloud Era. Thank you once again, Amit, for your time and valuable perspectives. It was an absolute pleasure hosting you and hearing from your expertise.
Thank you so much, Kushi. And thank you, everyone. I think there were great questions. I hope I could answer it. But happy to connect with any one of you on my LinkedIn or any other formats in which we want to connect and share my insights on that. Thank you very much.
Definitely, Amit. And a heartfelt thanks as well to all our wonderful participants for your engagement and thoughtful questions, which made today's session a great success. The session has also been recorded, and the recording will soon be available on techig.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again in our upcoming sessions. Have a great day ahead. Thanks, Amit, for joining.
Thank you.
Great having you.